So I've formatted my computer, upgraded to the latest Windows 1903, done all the updates, done a fresh install of Visual Studio, wiped the phone. Let's give Xamarin one more go. So we have the phone here, Visual Studio here. Let's create a new project. And this is a brand new computer. I haven't even set it up yet. I've just got Visual Studio installed in Xamarin. Let's do Android Xamarin, next. Just get one going, do single view app. Yep, I think that's what we did last time, or blank, whichever, shouldn't really matter. Right, so here's the project. Yeah, we did a blank one last time. So let's, just for consistency actually, let's just close that down and do a blank project. Just so we repeat the exact same thing. And there we go. So yeah, we have resources, the layout, the single layout. Let's just build first. Make sure it actually builds. Okay, that built. That took about 20 seconds. We've got the phone, which is showing right. Let's open the view then. Now it's building. And let's see if this breaks with a button still. If so, then it's definitely Xamarin is broken. And if it doesn't, then maybe there's a fix in Windows. Maybe there's something on the machine that I'd got at the time. No scroll bars to move around. That's good. Right then. Here we go. Let's add a button. Let's wrap the content. No IntelliSense. We have lost IntelliSense. Wrap content, build. Oh, and look, build failed. So it's not the machine. So it looks like we're going to have exactly the same experience as before. So just building twice seems to fix the error that we get. We compile and remove. We get the error, fail to link, build again, and it restores. It's almost like it's actually a restore issue. So I'm also guessing that deploying the phone is going to kind of do the same thing about just breaking the phone's USB every time we do it. See if we get anything different. Right, so that's deployed fine. Let's stop that. Add a button, expect it to break on build, which it does. Build a second time and expect it to work. So we have like a double build issue, which I'm sure if you guys will repeat this thing and see what happens for you. You don't even have to have an Android device, just literally install Xamarin, start a new project, build, add a button and build again, and see if you get the same behavior. Where just building once breaks, building again works. And just let me know. So that's built, yep. So 2 times or whatever makes that work. The second push then, you could see down there just it was redeploying all the framework parts. And before this would basically bomb the phone's USB out. So let's see if that happens this time. So it hasn't bombed the USB out. Let's delete that. Wonder what happens if we just delete it and try to push without even building, because we know the first build breaks. Yeah, it just stops it. So you just have to click it twice anyway. And build first. It's actually failing 3 times. And then when you finally see this restore complete, we could look at we could turn verbose logging on and look at the logs if we wanted to see what's failing there, but it's definitely failing. And it's nothing to do with the phone, because you can unplug the phone, build. This is a basic compile issue in Xamarin at the moment. But it does look like we've solved this kind of crashing as we're transferring to the phone, so that's a good start. So the only issue here is that everything crashes when you just add anything. So you can just, I don't even think you have to change anything. I think just every other build breaks. Build work, build failed, and then restore complete, and then it starts building. So let's let this complete and just build again. Right, let's build again. Build again. So once it works, but you just put a space in and delete and build. and it breaks, literally just putting a space in this file and removing it. So doing nothing, just telling it that this view has changed, is enough to break everything. So we could try and debug this a bit. Let's just start with some properties. And let's look through compile using. So it's compiling using 9. Let's try compiling using Q. Now, yeah, okay. Let's just like automatically download and install. And let's just see if Android Q works. Now I'm thinking this will only be an issue. I don't think this will compile. As in, this isn't the minimum required version. This is just the one we're compiling against. And I'm not sure how that's going to work if we're actually pushing to a phone that doesn't have this yet, because it's not out yet, unless it's in, you know, it's just in the beta channels. So I'm not exactly... Yeah, so... Another thing saying needs to be installed. The SDKs are automatically downloaded and installed if automatic installation is enabled. Oh, we've got to enable automatic installation. Tools, options, Xamarin. And we could also look in here for some options maybe. Provide debug signals if AVD acceleration is not supported. Preserve application data cache on device between deploys. We're not getting an issue now with deploying though, so I'm not too worried about the deploying. It's this just simply compiling. Keep that normal for now. Android settings. Auto install. So it's checked auto install. So there's a third bug now. So it's saying it will automatically download if that's on, and yet you build and it doesn't. So yet another thing that doesn't work. So we have Pi installed. That's the only one I've got installed. So I can't really mess around with that for now without installing more frameworks. We got these in here. Now we could maybe try and bump this up. Let's just bump it straight up so we're only trying to support one to see if it helps at all with the designer. And we can also try changing the device maybe in the designer. Maybe it's just purely this visual is screwing up, which I've got another idea for that if so as well. So this builds and should succeed. Put a space in, build again, and it would normally fail, and it still is. So let's just try changing this device. Let's just go to a pixel, and let's see if this experiences the same issue, whether it's related to just the visual, or whether it's related to the version or the app theme. So that's worked that time. That's failing. Now, considering this is on about the theme and not finding, basically what it's complaining at here, if you look at the code, we unpinned that and unpinned that. You can see it's moaning about not finding attributes like color accent, color primary dark, but you'll find they are actually in the solution, and they are in colors, probably some of them. So they're color primary dark, so they're not finding them, and it's because it's failing to link the references, which it's not really a reference, but internally it must be obviously linking this file. So by default this is failing. We can check the properties in case the thing isn't set up right, which it is. So there's nothing there that's in theory set up wrong. So we'll change the theme to, now you've got app theme, resource style, compact light dark bar, aka styles that not found. Now let's just try default theme and see if this fixes the build error. Because if it's a simple fix and this is the only thing we're seeing now we've got past the other one, then, you know, we're a step forward and we'll continue. So that's still failing. So let's try and use app compact light as the theme. But it's saying dark action bar not found, so let's just go to it. And yeah, you can see that obviously we shouldn't set the main page to that, but let's just see if it gets rid of the build error. Just kind of seeing if I can figure out what stops this breaking. No, so that's not doing anything. So the app theme isn't really changing anything. The version dropped to 26. Give that a go. Put a space in. No, this is just breaking every time. So let's see if we've got any options. UI mode. Not night, left to right, round screen, normal car docs. That forces the actual Android into a UI mode. So this isn't changing. This isn't changing. Let's try generic device. 7-inch tablet, 5.1 inch. Let's just try a random size device. And then the other thing we could do is this is obviously the current Visual Studio. No, it's just failing, whatever. We could also try a preview build of Visual Studio as a last resort. And I could also try another computer, but again, you guys let me know what you get as a result from doing this exact thing. So it doesn't appear to be any of these specifics here. We don't appear to have any other settings. That's all the settings we have here. We can have a look in options. Let's see if we can find anything else. So it's the Android UI design. This is definitely where we're at. Remember Windows settings, visual layout, enable accelerated rendering. Let's turn both of them off. Now, just let's restart Visual Studio. Let's also clear off the temporary files. We did app1 by mistake first. App2. Let's delete the VS file, the bin, the object. Let's get a nice clean app. Now we've changed those settings. Give it the best chance of working. Then we've got a few options still. We've got the next thing I'm thinking is to not open the file visually. Don't use the UI editor. Edit it and see if it compiles or see if in the background it's still failing to link. Try and find out whether it's directly related to the UI editor. And then failing that, we'll try a different project. We'll try not a blank version. We'll try a different project altogether, basically. So they're the two thoughts at the minute. So let's just build. And it's failing to link straight away. It's just got that issue regardless of having the file open. So let's just try the last thought. And that is to, let's make sure this build's successful again. That's fine. Now let's open this in, let's just view code so we don't see any visual editor basically. And of course it triggers the visual editor. I didn't want to do that. So we'll open it on the side in Visual Studio Code. Let's close that down. Resources, layout. Open this in code. So it's completely separate. And we can edit this file independently. So let's build, and this should build over and over, should build fine. Let's also just try to change a text file. Let's just basically force a rebuild. So forcing a rebuild without editing the actual UI is fine. Now let's try and edit the file outside of Visual Studio. And it forces a restore. And it works. Let's save again. So that's interesting. Editing the file outside of Visual Studio does not then cause this issue. So can we view this without it opening that split view? Let's do that as the next option. So that was in Xamarin. UI Designer, split view, do source view instead. So now when we open it, it's completely ignored the setting. Amazing. Yep, that's awesome. That's absolutely amazing. Okay, so let's see if it remembers the view. So it's completely ignoring all these settings. So I've even got it to not remember the Windows settings, and it's remembering them. I've got it to do source view, and it's doing split view. So these don't do anything. These are pointless. All this has been ignored. So that's yet another thing that it's doing. Let's just build. Now let's edit the file. So editing the file inside Visual Studio is causing an error. And this time it's causing an error with no output whatsoever. Just failed with no reason. And the next time builds. So let's just do that again. And then this time it's failing to link. So you see the issue here, it's failing to link. And then once it builds and you don't touch anything, it works. But interestingly, editing the same file in the same way outside of Visual Studio and building doesn't cause it to error at all. So let's also add a button. We've got IntelliSense back now. And then I will try another thing. Let's just try and isolate now where this failure is happening. So this is obviously happening all the time in this designer. And if we change anything, it doesn't even need to be a change. You just put a space in and it fails. So let's now do the same here. Remove that file, build, and you can see it visually update here. And it should build successful. Go back, add it back. So it's an actual change of UI. And if this still builds successful, this issue is related here. So this issue is related to the way this file has been opened, the actual, or something specific to editing this file inside here, which is interesting. I don't know what we do with that information. We know that the options are doing nothing. We know that these settings we've browsed through, nothing strikes me as an option to solve that issue. We've tried changing all them and restarting, that didn't help. So now let's open up the visual with split view. See if it builds, which it does with a button. Let's remove the button out of here. Build in here. You can see it's updated and visually gone and still doesn't crash. So this is the current issue. The issue is this specific window, editing this window. So we know that. Let's just close this down. And I think I deleted the other solution now, so we're going to have to make it again. So let's make another Android one. And go to not blank this time. So we want to do the single view app, say. And let's see if this has the same issues. It may also be that the blank template's simply broken. And we can fix it by not using that template or finding the issue in the template. So build, does this one build? Yes. So let's open up the UI and put a space in and build. And it breaks in just the same way. So it's nothing specific. It's like it's a NuGet package restore then, because this, I keep noticing it's when it's restoring. And then this is now also saying a NuGet package restore will fix this, which we know, but obviously the issue is the way it's building, the order in which it's building is messed up. So maybe this is just one in the this is basically the normal way that Xamarin works, is that you get regression bugs. This is what I spoke about when I mentioned regression bugs. They'll fix one issue and break everything else, and then they don't notice. So it's not like if we fix this one, we're potentially okay, because this is always the case. This is what Xamarin is always like in my eyes. I've never really seen much difference. So let's go back to the simpler project. It's always better working with fewer files. And there's also an option to, let's have a look at the actual solution file. See if anything looks interesting in here. And I do know from past experience with Xamarin, trust me, editing these does make a big difference to errors. You can find that one line in here simply breaks everything. So it is worth looking in here. I'm wondering whether it's reading this in order. And because the activity main is before these, I'm wondering whether it's in some way doing this in an order. So let's move it down to the bottom. And let's see if that makes a difference. Build. Put a space in and build. No, so that didn't change anything. So let's give one other thing a go. I've just downloaded NuGet.exe so we can try and manually restore these packages. So the issue doesn't happen here at the point of saving. It's always at compile time. So we can add like a button with wrap content and it appears there and we can save. The issue happens now when we try and build. So instead, I've downloaded NuGet.exe and placed it in the solution folder. Let's open up command line now before we build. And let's just type NuGet.exe restore and then the solution name. And this will force a restore. And now if we try and build, it now hasn't crashed. So the issue is a NuGet restore not working right. So just to kind of make this automatic, let's just put this kind of command in the pre-build event and maybe patch this up to work. So right click on the project, go to properties, build events, pre-build. That should in theory find it and restore. So there we go, now it's restoring. So do we have now an automatic kind of fix for this, at least so it's, you know, it's not going to crash every time we're building. So now we remove the button, save and build. It shouldn't fail, oh, and it does. So has it run our, it didn't seem to run our build then, our command. So let's just do that once more. Undo that, save, build. No, it did actually run the restore. It's almost like it's a race condition, but then running it manually does fix it. So as part of the build process, this isn't working. Maybe this is not run soon enough. So that doesn't work automatically, but just going in here, I know this isn't a fix, but it proves what the error is. If we were to just remove that then, build this, get it to where it builds. And then here we would type NuGet restore and the name. That's all we're going to run. So this is here. We remove the button, we save, and typically building in here would crash. If we run this though, it's just doing a restore and then build in here and it works. So something is definitely failing with NuGet. So that's clearly the bug. It's the NuGet package restore action isn't really happening right on consequential rebuilds, specifically when you edit the XML file of a visual. So you can edit it outside of Visual Studio, no problem. You can even compile NuGet outside, no problem. It's very specific to using the code editor in Visual Studio on an XML file that's related to Xamarin. So at least we've narrowed down the bug. So we can post this bug now and see if we can get a fix for it. Otherwise, we could dig into source code. But I think what I'm going to do now is jump onto Xamarin Forms and give that a quick test. So you let me know in the comments, do you think I should keep pushing through Xamarin and work through the bugs at the very start? Or do you think I should give Xamarin Forms a go? Or do you think something else? Let me know.